Hello students, I welcome you to Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates. Today's class is a unique one and I want you to pay attention as we will be traveling around environmental chemistry. I remain your chemistry instructor, Jima Rashid. Are you ready? Come on, let's go.
Eko Learners Support, a support program of the Lagos State Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education for WAEC and NECO candidates.
Like I said, today we're looking at environmental chemistry. Our focus is going to be on greenhouse gases and climate change. I want you to write the topic in your notes and today's date. We have set these learning objectives to guide us. 1. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to explain the greenhouse effect and its role in climate change. 2. You should be able to identify the main greenhouse gases and, of course, their sources. Lastly, you should be able to discuss the impact of climate change and the possible mitigation strategies. To help us understand this topic proper, let's look at some keywords. 1 is the climate change. 2, greenhouse effect. 3, ozone layer. I need you to use your dictionary or any available resource to check for the meanings of these keywords. Let's inspire ourselves with this lovely quote. It says, "We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children." Today, the whole world is talking about sustainability, and that is making sure that we use resources in a way that future generation can also make use of those resources. I hope that you are also going to add your voice and you would participate actively in ensuring that we have a sustainable world. Now, I ask, where are the farm produce? Today in Nigeria, we talk about rising cost of food. Where are the tomatoes gone? Where are the peppers gone? Why do we have expensive food that are cultivated here in Nigeria today? Your guess is as good as mine. Climate change. It is because we have erratic weather pattern that has now disrupted farm and agricultural practices. You can see a frustrated farmer there. We are having poor yields, and this is contributing to the food shortage that we are experiencing in the world today. So, look at these questions. How is energy transferred to Earth from the sun? It is via waves emitted by the sun in form of UV, visible, and infrared. Is the energy transferred by waves or by particle? The answer is by wave. What are the 4 main gases in the Earth's atmosphere? The most abundant is nitrogen with 78%, oxygen with about 21%, argon about 0.9%, and carbon dioxide approximately 0.04%. This is how balance is established in the nature. But when humans pollute the environment, this balance is usually disrupted. Let's look at what else in the atmosphere absorbs thermal energy. Water vapor and, of course, methane. Methane and carbon dioxide are examples of what we call greenhouse gases, which we are going to look at in details. Now, what is climate change? The picture on the screen there tells you what is happening on a daily basis, how fossil fuels are released into the atmosphere. What are the consequences of this? You're going to find out, my dear students. Climate change refers to long term, and that is the key word there, it is a long-term shift in temperature and weather patterns. And climate change is caused by human activities, which include deforestation, cutting down of trees, burning of fossil fuels, as you can see there, industrial processes. Now, this is the greenhouse effect. In a nutshell, nature is designed in such a way that the Earth is protected from the intense radiation of the sun by a layer that is called the ozone layer. I need you to write that down. The ozone layer is a protective shield that protects the Earth from the excessive radiation of the sun. But when human beings pollute the environment, burn carbon and other fossil materials, this carbon dioxide rises up and goes to the upper layer of the atmosphere. What does it do to the ozone layer? It depletes it. The simple explanation to that is that it makes the ozone layer to become thinner and thinner until it eventually becomes penetrable to ultraviolet radiation. When the sun is able to penetrate at high intensity into the Earth becomes excessively warm. This is what we call global warming. And all of that is illustrated here. You can see the sun, and that is the Earth. You have the ozone layer there, which is constantly being depleted. So, like I said, the greenhouse effect is a natural process that warms the Earth's surface. The increase in combustion of fossil fuels and decomposition of limestones for production of cement are some of the ways by which the greenhouse effect is being introduced. This has led to an enhanced greenhouse effect, raising the temperature of the atmosphere, which we call global warming. What are some sources of greenhouse gases? Examples of greenhouse gases are the CFCs. The full meaning of that is carbon fluorocarbons, the CFCs, which are usually produced from aerosols. You have nitrogen 1 oxide, which is gotten from fertilizers. Water vapor, which is present in the atmosphere, but the chief constituent of greenhouse gas is carbon dioxide, which is usually produced as a result of burning of fossil fuels. You have methane, which is gotten from natural gas. So these are the greenhouse effects, the greenhouse gases, I beg your pardon, and the respective sources that they are gotten from. Now, we have this class activity, and I'm going to be showing you next pictures, and I need you to tell me what those pictures depict. So you write a list of any consequence of rising levels of greenhouse gases you can think of by the time we display this picture. Are you ready, my dear student? Of course you are. So let's go. This is picture A. So what do you think this represents? Let's move to B. What does B represent? What can you interpret this to mean? The next one is C. Does this look familiar in any way to you? Begin to write down your answers in your notes. Next is D. What does this mean? And lastly, we have E. So let's find out how you fare in this activity. Okay? So what does A represent? Let's see if it corresponds with the answer that you have chosen. A is disappearing sea ice. B is loss of habitat. Do you come close to getting that? That is a polar bear there, which is going into extinction. That's what we call loss of biodiversity. My dear student, there are actually some animals you might never be able to see face to face anymore, not even in zoos, because these animals have gone into extinction as a result of man destroying their natural habitat. One of them is the polar bear that you're looking at there. Let's look at C, rising sea levels. This should look familiar to you. Of course, if you live in a city like Lagos, you must have heard about the overflooding of what? Of the Barbish as a result of the rising level of the sea. And this usually cause a whole lot of flood around the metropolis. Droughts. This is common in the northern part of Nigeria. I hope you got that correctly. Let's look at the last one, extreme weather. Recently, we were talking before the rain started about extreme heat as a result of climate change. So well done to you. Let's look at some other consequences of greenhouse gases. Drought, flooding, rise of sea level, desertification, death of aquatic organisms, loss of biodiversity, global warming and climate change, of course, worsening health conditions. We now have higher cases of health-related problems. Let's switch gear and look at what we refer to as nitrogen oxides. They are usually called the NOx. Okay? This is a combination of two oxides of nitrogen, which are nitrogen 2 oxide and nitrogen 4 oxide. Nitrogen is abundant in the atmosphere, like we said, 78% of it. When lightning struck, nitrogen is usually converted into its oxides. When these oxides mix, they create environmental problems. What are some of the origins? Combustion of nitrogen in air, like I said, these are some of the environmental effects of the NOx. They are toxic to humans. They contribute to what we call the photochemical smog. They cause acid rain. Acid rain is of high interest to me, and it should be to you, because rain is supposed to be the purest form of water source. But because of pollutants in the air, these pollutants dissolve in the rainwater and make the rainwater to become acidic. Anywhere such water touches, there is destruction, even on vegetation. Damages the ozone layer, and yes. So NOx is a term, like I said, used for the nitrogen oxide that are most relevant to air pollution. It is a combination of these two oxides of nitrogen, which we have already explained. These are anthropogenic sources of nitrogen oxide. Transportation. If you live in a city like Lagos, where we have so many vehicular density, the emission coming from these cars, the industry, from the airplane, all of these generate a lot of pollution. You have the combustion of fossil fuels. We're talking about establishment of new refineries. Are we actually thinking about the pollution and environmental challenges that these refineries are going to cause? Applications of nitrogen fertilizer. When it rains, rain washes the fertilizer into water bodies. These usually cause growth of bacteria and even death of aquatic animals. So these are 5 major air pollutants that are present in the atmosphere. One is carbon monoxide, what we call carbon 2 oxide. This is what is usually produced from the exhaust of generators and, of course, vehicles. Carbon monoxide is a poisonous gas. When inhaled, it usually mixes with the oxygen. Okay, it competes actually with the oxygen, and it combines with the hemoglobin, forming what we call carboxyhemoglobin. This can lead to shortness of breath and ultimately death. We have had cases of families putting on their generators overnight, and all members of the family are dead in the morning. This is because they inhale the harmful carbon monoxide. Another air pollutant are hydrocarbons. These are methane and the likes. the nitrogen oxide, which we have just mentioned, the sulfur oxide, and of course, particulates. These are dust, smoke, and other particles that are in the air. Let's look at some exam-styled questions. 1. A consequence of global warming is dash. And we have 4 options. The first one, air pollution. B, flooding. C, increased humidity. And lastly, water pollution. What do you think is the correct consequence of global warming from what we have discussed in today's class? Very good. You are correct. Flooding is the correct option. It's one of the major consequences of global warming. Excellent. Really proud of you. Let's look at question 2. List 4 greenhouse gases. Can you list them now? Yes. You have methane. That's very good. You have water vapor. You have carbon dioxide. You have the CFCs, the chlorofluorocarbons, okay, which are usually obtained from aerosols. The next question asks that we should state the source of the environmental impact. Where are these greenhouse gases? Where are they gotten from? The CFCs from aerosols, carbon dioxide from burning of fossil fuels, and of course, you have methane, which is gotten from burning of natural gas. Do you know that the gas you use to cook at home is methane? So for every 1 kilogram of gas that you use to cook at home, you are emitting approximately 6 kg of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And that's why today we talk about green energy. Lastly, name 2 gases that can cause acid rain. One is nitrogen 4 oxide, NO2, and 2 is sulfur 4 oxide. Let me help you with the formulas of these gases, SO2 and NO2. When they dissolve in rainwater, they cause acid rain. For example, when NO2 dissolves in rainwater, it gives an acid, which is trioxonitrate 5 acid. I hope that you find this useful. Now, I need you to describe this image, okay? But I need you to do it in just 12 minutes. Reflect on it, and you are only allowed to use 25 words. Look at this image closely, think about it, and come up with an essay that summarizes what is going on here just in 25 words or fewer. I wish you good luck in doing that. I hope that today's class have helped you to understand greenhouse gases and climate change. We have also looked at some greenhouse gases, which are carbon dioxide, methane, and the CFCs. We've looked at consequences of greenhouse gases, which are rising sea level, loss of biodiversity, deforestation, and other consequences.
Eko Learners Support, a support program of the Lagos State Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education for WAEC and NECO candidates.
I'm happy that you are able to stay to the end of this video. Don't forget to leave your suggestion, your comments in the link that is provided on the screen. I hope to see you in next class, and I wish you good luck with your studies. Bye.
Acing your WAEC and NECO examinations has been made easy by the Lagos State Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education with the Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates television program. Join seasoned teachers as they take you through these core subjects: mathematics, English language, physics, chemistry, and biology, targeting the exact syllabus of WAEC and NECO. Watch Eko Learners Support for WAEC and and NECO candidates on this station. Learners can also connect with Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates through these social media platforms to access more educational content and give their feedback. Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates. Pass your examinations with flying colors.